So you want to know how Down syndrome occurs? Simplified, right? Because when you click on those other videos, they're really confusing. Well, I'm gonna make this really easy to understand, right, Naomi? What she said. Almost every human cell has 46 chromosomes. Now inside these chromosomes, there is DNA. And DNA is the blueprint of how a human is made. Each of these chromosomes is paired up to make a total of 23 pairs. Kind of like socks. Socks. However, some people have 47 chromosomes, much like Naomi. Say hi, Naomi. Say hi. Blow kisses. That's right. So all her cells have 47 chromosomes. That's right. So how and when did this happen? This happened through meiosis and during fertilization. Now, I'm not gonna go into detail about meiosis and fertilization because unless you're a med student, into science, or just really curious about those things, you're probably gonna click off. Just know that either mom or dad bring in that extra chromosome from an error during meiosis. And then during fertilization, the baby has an extra chromosome. Now, mom and dads, don't blame yourself because you find out your baby has an extra chromosome. There's absolutely nothing that you could have done during pregnancy, before pregnancy to prevent this. No medicines, no herbs, no supplements, no vitamins, nothing. And not even age, because they're starting to find out that's not true. There are plenty of women that are having babies with extra chromosomes in their 20s. So don't blame yourself. Now, scientists throughout the years have labeled these pairs of chromosomes 1 through 23. Now, a chromosome duplication can happen on any of these pairs. However, the majority of the time that happens, it results in death, unless it is number 13, which is Patau syndrome, 18, which is Edwards syndrome, 23, which is Klinefelter syndrome, or the most common, 21, which is Down syndrome. That is why Down syndrome is sometimes called trisomy 21. And by the way, trisomy means 3 because there are 3 chromosomes in that chromosome pair. Now really quick, for those of you that may wonder, can this go in the opposite direction? And the answer is yes. Instead of having 46 chromosomes, you can lose a chromosome during the meiosis and fertilization stage and you'll end up with 45 chromosomes. And that actually, you'll see that in something called Turner syndrome, and in another syndrome called Chiari-Chat syndrome. Now, there are a lot of different genetic disorders and syndromes out there that happen during the fertilization and meiosis stage. However, I do want to focus in on Down syndrome because that's why you clicked on this video. There are 3 types of Down syndrome. The one that I just got done talking about was called trisomy 21, and that is the most common kind of Down syndrome and occurs in 95% of the cases. Now, translocation happens in about 4% of the cases of Down syndrome. 2 pairs of chromosomes. And let's say this one's 14, it could be any chromosome pair, and this one's 21. And before meiosis happens, they all just kind of get jumbled up. You wanna help me? Jumble, 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 jumble. So then in the end, it kind of looks like this. And then during fertilization and meiosis, you end up with a chromosome like this, with chromosome number 14 or such having a little bit extra chromosome 21, which that extra chromosome 21 results in Down syndrome. The last type of Down syndrome is called mosaic, and this one actually happens in 1% or less than 1% of all cases of Down syndrome. This one also is the only one that happens after fertilization, and that is because there is an error in duplication. It results in the baby having half of their cells with chromosomes that equal to 46 and 47 chromosomes in the other half of their cells. This is pretty rare, as you can see, but it does happen, and these kids that have mosaic Down syndrome, their symptoms are a lot less severe. This is how Down syndrome occurs. It doesn't happen because you smoked or you drank or you ate the wrong foods or you looked at your husband funny or you're pregnant later on in life, because they are finding out that that's not necessarily true. A lot of 20 and 30-year-olds are having Down syndrome or babies with chromosomal disorders. But it's not your fault as a parent, no matter what anybody says, because there are groups of people out there that believe that it is the parent's fault if a child does have Down syndrome. And if you don't believe me, I'm pretty sure someone will make that comment down below in the comment section. And if you don't see it here, I have another video where you'll see it in the comment section. But it's not your fault. And you can't get rid of Down syndrome. It is not a virus or disease. It is a genetic condition where they have an extra chromosome. There's no surgery, there's no herbs, there's no medicine that can get rid of it. And I'm sure these things can help, but it's not gonna make it disappear. A person with Down syndrome is always going to have Down syndrome. And that's not a bad thing. It's different, yes, but it's not a bad thing at all. We all have things. Just because somebody has an extra chromosome doesn't make them less of a person. There's still a person who has emotions and feelings. Oh, and don't say that that extra chromosome comes from God either, because I mean, it's really sweet and pretty and thoughtful and beautiful, but you know what? They're not perfect. Yes, they are amazing people, but so are you, mom and dad, sisters, brothers, classmates. So love them like you would love anybody else. Know the truth, know the facts. Oh, and consider joining us on our journey as we parent Naomi and her other siblings on our channel, Living with Eve. Because we're just gonna continue bringing more information and tips and encouragement as you raise your exceptional children too, no matter if they have a genetic condition or not. We're all parents and we're all gonna be struggling through this thing called life together. So go ahead and subscribe if you haven't done that yet and you want to just check out another video. Here's one on Naomi's growth and development right over there. And until then, I will totally see you in our next video.